Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, Sigval here and welcome back to another video. So in this one we're going to mainly fight boss Batman, and we're going to start off with a fight using Deathstroke. We have Power Girl in there to make his specials a little bit cheaper before the clones get in there, because obviously the clones do not have access to teammate passives. And we have Nora Snow Globe, and the main reason I put Power Girl in there, because we don't really need the power reduction that much, was in order to have some passive stats. Because we're going to have the level 8 Beta Club on Power Girl for the passive stats, so that Deathstroke does not die that quickly. Because my man's got maxed out armor, but last fight we used him here, Boss Baton was still destroying him. We were losing like half HP on a blocked special one from Boss Batman, so we're trying to kind of avoid that. So yeah, we pinned him in the corner. I'm going to just combo and chop him at this point. I don't want to use specials really. I just want to let him do his super move and then get the clone in there and have enough energy to get some SP2s in there. Okay, the clone is in there. Special 2. And he backed off. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Another one. There we go, 2 of them. In the absolute ideal scenario, if you have a full bar of power, or if you're in the last minute of the fight, you can get 3 SP2s per tag in, but it's very dependent on what's gonna happen exactly, and at the same time it's highly unlikely for that to even occur, so I'm not gonna bother. But yeah, the second clone didn't do well because it only got out 1 SP2, so that's highly unideal, but still we did a decent job so far, and the base Deathstroke special 2s are going to by themselves be a very good amount of damage. And yeah, when you see a lower amount there, like we saw 6 mil differing from the previous amounts by a very high amount, you know that's the last percentage health one you're going to be able to do. So at this point it doesn't really matter what we do, but I'm still going to try my best to squeeze in some damage. And usually I don't really get the feeling after I do this that it really matters, but as you'll come to see in this video, the fact that we did not straight up let him kill me and we tried to do some more damage with this fight, and the next fight allows us to finish him up. But yeah, that's as far as Deathstroke goes. Could have gone better, but still decent work. We have here Deadshot. He's going to die. What purpose does Deadshot serve in this team? Absolutely zero purpose. He's here for only holding Beta Club to provide us with some passive stats. We have Baton of Laughs here with Sword of Salvation to allow us to power steal and at the same time increase our damage a little bit, I guess. Though yet again, that doesn't really matter. Our percentage health damage is what matters. Pushing him to the corner. I really hate Chaos Tag-ins. I mean, look, if we didn't have Chaos Tag-ins, then the clones of Deathstroke would have done far more, but at the same time I would have been able to easily use Baton of Laughs and Deathstroke in the same team and not waste 2 teams because of doing that. I mean, I think I still could, but it would be highly risky. All it takes is 1 bad special 2 on a tag-in, and that's one of your characters being over. There we go, super move. And we actually got all the percentage health damage out of the way the first time around. So yet again, I'm just going to keep going at it. We're not dealing much damage now that that's done, but still I'm going to try my absolute best to get as much damage in there as possible, because it might come in handy in next fights. I wanted to vibe check if he has any armor. He has a lot of stuff that prevents you from doing damage, but armor is not one of them. Though honestly, I don't really care, like when something is immune to dot, crit and lethal, but he's like, oh, but at the very least he doesn't have high armor, bro. I don't care about him not having high armor, okay? That is a fact that does not matter one bit to me. Though he's not immune to dots, only lethal and crits, my bad, and stuns. So yeah, that's the Baton of Laughs fight, and the damage on the third special is at points quite decent. I guess it's also attributed to the fact that we got the level 8 Sword of Salvation bumping up our damage a little bit. Our third special in there, combo chopped again. That's going to be the Baton of Laughs fight. And look, this team over here that you're going to be able to see is going to be able to one-shot this fight from full HP if you do have Beta Club and Sword of Sin to put on Raven, and the higher star rating Mr. Freeze, because yet again we're running in the same problem that I usually encounter with Mr. Freeze. my cheap-ass Mr. Freeze being only 3 stars. And as I said, I think Mr. Freeze is the character in the game where the star rating is going to matter the absolute most. There's no single character in the game that gets better the higher star rating it is, to the extent that Mr. Freeze really gets. So at 3 star, Mr. Freeze will still do a decent job here, don't get me wrong, but will be very far away from the performance of a higher star rating Mr. Freeze. And we'll go from being able to one-shot this fight to being able to barely get 1/4 of its health out of the way, which is yet again a very good scenario, and I'm very lucky to have both Mr. Freeze with Beta Club and Raven with Sword of Sin. But yeah, this could be far more broken than it is. Like, you're seeing the really toned down version of the sim over here. So yeah, he's immune to stun and freeze, but we still have the 25% chance to freeze him regardless. So that will be useful. I mean, that will be pretty much mandatory in our only way of dealing damage. But yeah, it's not gonna be easy to freeze him, but he'll freeze very reliably at some points. And the thing that I hate about how the freezing mechanic works is that sometimes when he starts getting frozen, because you can see when he doesn't resist the freeze, because when he doesn't resist it, you're going to literally see freezing building up. When he starts freezing, actually, and he gets out of your freeze, and he enters back in, and he's no longer freezing. Like, that happens at some points. But yeah, he's frozen again. Jump attack. 15 mil, respectable amount of damage. Yet again, keep in mind, this team that I have over here, even at a 3-star Mr. Freeze, could easily deal 2 billion damage under normal circumstances. But this is not normal circumstance, and we don't have access to our crit damage. And because of no access to our crit damage, our damage is going to suck, because crit damage is going to have a double impact on the Beta Club dot damage, because your base hit that you're going to do is going to be able to crit, which influences the dot, and then the dot itself is going to be able to crit. So we're not getting only 2/3 of our damage reduced is far more, but still it's going to be decent. And this actually went far better than I was expecting. I was expecting this fight to be a huge mess, and it was at points, but overall we managed to have a far smoother experience than I expected. So over here I'm not going to use any specials until the last moment. There we go. And here in Mr. Freeze, I knew I was very close to breaking the freeze, so I needed to break it at the very last second and hope that until that point is going to be on 0 HP, and barely, like literally the last amount of dot flying on the screen was all that he could take, and the last hit killed him. So yeah, I would call that fight a success. Now moving on to the next fight, we're going to have Boss Aquaman. Now, I don't really like Beta Club on Manta nowadays, even when I'm using Brainiac. Like, I'm not usually using Brainiac with him actually, because Brainiac tends to be better to an extent with other teams nowadays. In this fight, we're going to fight Boss Aquaman. And Manta's passive, that's his main damage dealing passive, is that he gets increased damage by hitting a certain target for multiple amounts of time and multiple hits, and that damage just keeps scaling until 100 stacks, and it's a great passive. It's the reason he's a damage dealer. Well, that passive is going to have tripled efficiency against Aquaman characters. And because of that, we're going to deal a ton of damage on our basic attack hits, and over here it's definitely because of that justifiable to give him Brainiac and Beta Club. We have Silver Green Lantern to allow us to have a smoother time combo interrupting. I mean, I need it. I was gonna say I don't really need Silver Green Lantern, but I need it. It is possible to not need it. It is possible with Manta to constantly combo interrupt Boss Aquaman after one hit, but it's not going to be something that's very convenient, and I just opted out to not do it. And yeah, by the way, we have a level 8 Beta Club. We have level 5 Kryptonite Spear, and we have level 7 Kryptonite Ring for the passive stats, so that's as far as our passive stats go. And at this point I'm going to use Manta's third special. And yeah, it's going to deal a lot of damage, I know. It's going to deal 3 damage in total. Amazing amount, but I'm going to do that to lock him into a stun, so that I don't have to worry about combo interrupting him. And yet again, you could, but at the same time, it's going to fall in the same logic category as a lot of things nowadays. Why would I do the more complicated gameplay, since the safer gameplay is going to be enough to one-shot over here? Can you find a reason? Because I can't. But yeah, we're already getting the 18 mil damage amounts of dots, 19 mils, so it's going real well. And our passive is literally tripling our damage against Aquaman characters, so here is definitely worth it. If I was not to fight against an Aquaman characters, I think best case scenario I would get 6 mil per second dot values, which is by no means a bad thing. It is still very good. By using Brainiac, of course. Solo Manta can't do much in terms of that. But yeah, that's Brainiac down in... not Brainiac, excuse me, that's Aquaman down in 1 fight. This went well enough. Look, if you're free to play, you do have options. Like, I do have plenty of videos on boss Aquaman. And ideally you want to use Baton of Laughs, you want to use League of Anarchy here. If you're in the situation where Camouflage Aquaman is your only damage dealer, and I have been there myself on the secondary account. I have been there myself for Camouflage Aquaman, it was literally my only damage dealer and I had to fight boss Aquaman. Upgrade your special one, tag in, spam special one with all blades, tag out, that's literally the only thing you can do. And I know it sucks, but there's not many options out there for you. So yeah, over here we're going to fight boss Nightwing, and I went with classic Wonder Woman, because I didn't really need Grodd's power generation or armor reduction over here. I wanted to see how much we can get out of the dot damage by putting classic Wonder Woman. And I could have done far more damage, but at the start of the fight, when the power generation was low, I focused myself on doing the special 2. Get that dot in there, but I should have been focusing on doing the third special, because that gives me a lot more lethal attack chance, and it was very visible that after 1 minute and a half my dot damage skyrocketed because we were starting to hit far more lethals. And yeah, the Batman team is definitely popping off in this already if you do have Beta Club, because you also get the passive stats from it. If not just put Dark Metal cards, they are going to do a very good job with Dark Metal cards. Nowhere close to the amounts that Beta Club does, obviously, but a very good job nevertheless. But yeah, 1.2 billion damage. That's definitely an interesting amount. And over here, we're going to do a little bit of a cleanup fight with the League of Anarchy. Again, I love being able to yet again use the Dark Metal cards on Harley. I just love that artifact. Yeah, all blades suck on League of Anarchy. Somebody asked in a certain comment, why do not all blades, excuse me, Beta Club sucks on League of Anarchy. Somebody asked in the comments of the last video, why is that? Because they have quite low base damage. Their basic attack hit damage, the normal damage, the red numbers that appear on the screen are going to be quite low, and they deal high amounts of dot damage, but the dot that they deal does not influence in any shape or form the dot that Beta Club would deal. But yeah, all that being said, thanks so much for watching. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, subscribe for more content like this, and I'll hopefully see you all in the next one. Goodbye!